Hello everybody and welcome back to SFF180. It is Monday, September the 4th, and time once again for the mailbag. Thomas here, your host, as always. First off, I want to say, I usually, would like to tell you that I hope you all had a lovely week and a lovely weekend. For a lot of people, it wasn't quite that way. I grew up in Houston, and I still know a lot of folks who live down in that area, and to see the effects of the hurricane has just been really, really horrifying. So if you were at all affected by that, I hope you're doing well. Your friends, your loved ones, your family, I hope you're all good. But otherwise, like I said, it's the 4th, and if you're watching this, I have just returned from Florida from BookNet Fest, the very first BookNet Fest. How was it? Well, I can't tell you yet because I'm recording this before going to BookNet Fest. So it's kind of, once again, this timey-wimey thing. But don't worry, there will be a vlog coming. If you're watching this video because you are a brand new viewer to the channel, somebody that I met at BookNet Fest, well, I am very happy to have met you, even though I don't know you yet. So then, with announcements out of the way, let's go ahead and get right into it, shall we? And this first one feels like a hardcover from Random Penguin. And it is. We're starting off with a YA this week. This is A Poison, Dark, and Drowning. The author is Jessica Cluess, and this is the sequel to A Shadow, Bright, and Burning, and the second volume in a series or a trilogy called Kingdom on Fire, which is probably a pretty bad state for a kingdom to be in, I would have to say. So anyway, it comes out September the 19th in hardcover. And just so as to not give you too many spoilers for book 1, I'll just say it's a spellbinding adventure about how far one teenage girl will go to protect the ones she loves and the only world she knows. Henrietta doesn't need a prophecy to know that she's in danger. She came to London to be named the Chosen One, the first female sorcerer in centuries, the one who would defeat the ancients. Instead, she discovered a city ruled by secrets. The biggest secret: Henrietta is not the Chosen One. Oh dear. Well, what is she then? I suppose this trilogy tells us. But anyway, it's a signature mix of magic, passion, and teen sorcerers fighting for survival, so if that's your sort of thing, then this will come out, like I said, on the 19th of September. And next up, another one from the same imprint, Random House Children's Books. This is called Niksia. The author is Scott Reinken. This is one I've already gotten as an ARC, but this is the finished copy. It comes out on the 12th of September, and it is a debut sci-fi thriller, it says, that combines the non-stop action of, go ahead and get your checklist ready, The Maze Runner and the cutthroat competition of the Hunger Games with the high-stakes space setting of Illuminae. It's not really as much of a glowing recommendation to read that sort of thing as publicists might think on a sell sheet, because basically what you've just told me is, hey, here's a book that's completely 100% unoriginal. And, hopefully the author actually deserves better than that. Anyway, having gotten that little rant out of the way, Emmett Atwater isn't just leaving Detroit, he's leaving Earth. Why Babel Communications recruited him is a mystery, but the number of zeros on their contract has him boarding their lightship and hoping to return to Earth with enough money to take care of his family forever. Before long, Emmett discovers that he is one of 10 recruits, all of whom have troubled pasts and are a long way from home. Each recruit must earn the right to travel to the planet of Eden, a planet Babel has kept hidden, where they will mine a substance called Niksia that has quietly become the most valuable material in the universe. But Babel's ship is full of secrets, and Emmett will face the ultimate choice: win the fortune at any cost, or find a way to fight that won't compromise what it means to be human. Okay, so that sounds like it could have some good suspense going on, and it is more of a space opera, than that little rattling off of bestsellers might indicate. But anyway, like I said, I've already gotten this as an ARC. Looks like it could be fairly promising. Willing to give it a chance. Comes out on the 12th. Okay, and moving down the list, this comes from a little independent imprint called World Weaver Press. Weaver Press, not River. Weaver Press. And I've heard from them before. So let's see what they have. Okay, well, these are 3 little small press titles from World Weaver Press. This is called The Continuum. The author is Wendy Nickel. Comes out January the 23rd. Elise Morley is an expert on the past who's about to get a crash course in the future. For years, Elise has been donning corsets, sneaking into castles, and lying through her teeth to enforce the Place in Time Travel Agency's 10 essential rules of time travel. Someone has to ensure that travel to the past isn't abused, and most days she welcomes the challenge of tracking down and retrieving clients who have run into trouble on their historical vacations. But when a dangerous secret organization kidnaps her and coerces her into jumping into the future on a high-stakes assignment, she's got more to worry about than just the time-space continuum. Oh dear. For the first time ever, she's the one out of date, out of place, and quickly running out of time. It's a thin little book, so it could be just a short novel or novella length. But like I said, comes out January 23rd. And then next up, here's a little thing called Son of a Witch, and this looks to be an anthology. 6 humorous contemporary fantasy stories of magic spells gone wrong. And this comes out October 3rd. The authors are, well, a bunch of folks I don't know. You know, small press authors. But let's see, no one is perfect, not even a witch. Witches have amazing power at their fingertips to do unbelievable things. That magic can come in really handy sometimes too. They can make someone fall in love, poison an apple to enact a sleeping curse, banish an enemy to an alternate reality, or just conjure up some Nutella when there is none in the house. So, okay, I think you get the general idea, like I said. So that one comes out October the 3rd. And finally, they've sent along a little thing called Vanity and Dust. The author is Cheryl Lowe, and this is not an ARC. This one's already out. It came out August 8th. And this appears to be either a gas lamp fantasy, judging by the fellow's outfit here, or an urban fantasy. But anyway, it's the first in the Crowns and Ash series, about power and passion in a realm of magic where pixie dust is a drug steaming in every cup of tea, sedating the powerful under the deteriorating control of the queen. In the realm there are whispers that the city used to be a different place, that before the queen ruled there was a sky beyond the clouds and a world beyond their streets. Von Dre Fenn never knew that world. Born a prince without a purpose in a realm ruled by lavish indulgence, unrelenting greed, and vicious hierarchy, he never knew a time before the queen's dust drugged the city. Everything is poisoned to distract and dull the senses, even the tea and pastries. And yet, after more than a century, his own magic is beginning to wake. The beautiful veneer of the realm is cracking. Those who would defy the queen turn their eyes to Vaughn, and the dust saturating the realm. From the carnivorous pixies in the shadows to the wolves in the streets, Vaughn thought he knew all the dangers of the city, but when whispers of treason bring down the fury of the queen, he'll have to race to save the lives and souls of those he loves. All right then. That sounds like it could be kind of neat, doesn't it? But it's out, like I said, came out August the 8th. The author is Cheryl Lowe, Vanity and Dust from World Weaver Press. Sorry if my speech in this episode is a little bit... My mouth is really kind of dry for some reason. I don't know why. Not sick or anything. I don't think so. Oh God, I'm feeling tremors, blacking out. My head is spinning. No, I'm good. I'm fine. I just can't seem to talk normally. Whatever. Anyway, this is a little thing from Simon & Schuster. Feels like... well, it feels like a book, really. Let's confirm that. Well, they're really bringing the YA this week. I gotta say, guys. But this one feels like it has some gravitas. So let's just go through it. It's called Light Years. This comes out tomorrow, September the 5th, from Simon Pulse. And it goes like this. Writer and film producer Emily Ziff Griffin, the author, survived 2 experiences of devastating grief. Her father passed away from AIDS when she was a teenager. Her dear friend, mentor, and producing partner Philip Seymour Hoffman died tragically in 2014. She spent more than 2 decades grappling with what death means and trying to accept the unexpected gifts that profound loss offers. Now in her debut novel, Griffin tells a deeply personal story through an imaginative lens with Light Years. Okay, Louisa Okoa Jones is ready for her life to start yesterday, and she could be on her way, as her extraordinary coding skills have landed her a finalist spot for a fellowship sponsored by Thomas Bell, the world's most brilliant and mercurial tech entrepreneur. Being chosen means funding, mentorship, and most importantly, freedom from her overbearing mother. Maybe Lou will even figure out how to control the rare condition that plagues her. Whenever her emotions run high, Her physical senses kick into overload, with waves of color, sound, taste, and touch flooding her body, but Louise's life is thrust into chaos as a deadly virus sweeps across the globe, killing thousands and sending her father into quarantine. When Lou receives a cryptic message from someone who might hold the key to stopping the epidemic, she knows she must do something to save her family and the world. Oh my golly. I wrote Light Years for teenagers who are on the precipice of adulthood, with all its freedoms and perils, says the author. Life can feel limitless and bountiful and then suddenly become staggeringly lonely and confusing when we experience loss for the first time. We feel powerless through Louisa. I hope readers will connect to a character who is faced with epic circumstances and tremendous grief, but discovers that her deepest emotions and most authentic self are the key to reclaiming her power with purpose, grace, and hope. What I also like is the bit where what we have is a female protagonist who is kind of trying to get into a STEM field. And I'd like to see more science fiction like that as well, because that's pretty cool. Okay, well, comes out tomorrow, Light Years, from Emily Ziff Griffin. Could be heavy going, but could be just what some readers out there really need. And then moving down the list, we have a white envelope, but it says Disney on the front. Yep, more kids books galore. I got to tell you, this one is looks like a middle grade. They're just hitting me with them this week. Okay, it's The Adventurers Guild. The authors are Zach Lauren Clark and Nick Ilopoulos. This one comes out on October the 3rd. Okay. A while down the road, but it is the first in a new series. Fablehaven meets Artemis Fowl is how they're describing it. The launch of this epic new series follows best friends Zed Kagai and Brock Dunderfell, who get conscripted into the Dangerous Adventurers Guild and must defend what's left of humanity against terrible monsters in this riveting, funny, and suspenseful fantasy. Okay. In one of the last cities standing after the world fell to monsters, inseparable Zed and Brock have high hopes for the future. Zed desperately wishes to join the ranks of the Mages Guild, where his status as Freestone's only half-elf might finally be an asset. Brock, the roguishly handsome son of merchants, is confident he'll be welcomed into the ranks of the Merchants Guild. That follows. But just as it seems the boys' dreams have come true, their lives take a startling turn. They find themselves members of the Perilous Adventurers Guild, led by the fearsome Alabasal Frond. The guild acts as the last line of defense against the dangers. Hungry, unnatural beasts from otherworldly planes. And when the boys uncover a conspiracy that threatens all of Freestone, Zed, Brock, and their new allies, Liza, a fierce noble, and Jet, a brave dwarf, must prove their worth once and for all. The initiates are a ragtag gang of misfits that must trust each other and themselves if they hope to survive. Okay, well there you are then. Middle grade fans, I know there are quite a few of you out there. This comes out, like I said, October the 3rd from Disney Hyperion. I will say the end papers are a really pretty map, all sepia-toned and everything, so that's kind of nice. And at last we are moving away from the YA and MG stuff back into adult fantasy, and we have The Brightest Fell, which again I've already received as an ARC, but this is the 11th October Day urban fantasy novel by Shauna Maguire and the very first hardcover release. Let's see, through 10 installments, fans have been captivated by the story of October Toby Day, a half-fae, changeling knight and sometimes PI who navigates the streets of San Francisco and the mercurial fairy world. They keep putting the word mercurial into cell sheets. They've done it twice now today, and it's always like an awkward one to try to read out loud. Anyway, she explores that world, the fairy world, mercurially, solving the problems of her magical kin. Okay then, so again, don't want to give away too many synopses because first off, either, a lot of people have become Shauna Maguire fans in light of, Every Heart a Doorway and Down Among the Sticks and Bones, and so there are probably a lot of folks now catching up with the Toby Day books if you weren't already fans. And so number 11 is out in hardcover, and this comes out, I didn't even say when it came out, did I? No, comes out tomorrow, the 5th, so be ready. And we have another Random Penguin package, and this feels like it's got 2. All right, well, there were 2 packages in that envelope, and as you see, one of them was, for some reason, a second copy of The Brightest Fell. That happens sometimes. Well, you know what this means? What it means is someone this weekend in Orlando at BookNet Fest got pretty lucky at the swap table. So if it was you, congratulations. Alrighty, and then next, though, not a repeat, it's a little mass market paperback. Cover may be hard to see. Sorry about that. But this is called Circle's End. The author is Lizanne Norman. And this is kind of an interesting thing. This is the latest in a very long-running space opera series. In fact, I think this is book 9 or something, called the Sholan Alliance. And it's been a series of mass-market originals from Daw, like I think the first one came out in, I want to say 1992 or something. I'd have to look it up. And I think the previous volume before this one might have come out like 9 or 10 years ago. So Daw sometimes does that. They'll have a series that will just go on, and they'll just let the author do it. And then there might be like a few years of a gap in between volumes, and then the author will pop back up and say, hey, I have a new book, and Daw will say, great, and they'll put it out, and here it is. But anyway, I wish I could really tell you anything in the way of details about this, but as you see, it appears to be a kind of C.J. Cherryh along that vein of, you know, an exotic space opera full of interesting aliens. Like here you see you have this kind of like mischievous-looking kind of cat guy with dreadlocks, and then you have this sort of like lizard horse guy with a mohawk, and one of them is saying to the other one something like, hey, I'll give you $1 if you go over there and like stick an ice cube down the back of that guy's pants. And the other one's saying, what are you, are we crazy? What kind of bullshit? So as you see, they're plotting something sinister along those lines, I'm quite sure. But anyway, Circle's End, again, the 9th volume in the Sholan Alliance series. I think the first book was called Turning Point, I believe. I'll just look, because it will say if I look. That's how we find out information in this. Yeah, Turning Point, Fortune's Wheel, Fire Margins, Razor's Edge, Dark Nadir, Stronghold Rising, Between Darkness and Light, Shades of Grey, and finally, Circle's End. I don't know, finally. There could be more of these. The next one could come out in another 10 years. But it's out anyway, a September mass market paperback from Daw Books. Moving on down the list, we look to have a white envelope. This will probably be a Tor item. It is a Tor item. This is a book called The Man in the Tree, and I was actually very excited to see that this was coming out. The author here is Sage Walker. It's been a while since we've seen a book by this author. I believe she's a Texas writer. And her previous book was called Whiteout, I think. Came out like way back in the 90s. And yeah, and won the Locus Award for it and everything. So and finally, back. So here we go. In this new release, comes out September 12th, The Man in the Tree, Sage Walker has come up with a fantastic hard science fiction story about mankind's last best hope of survival. Our planet is toast, and the nations of the world have pooled their resources to build a seed ship that will carry colonists on a multi-generational journey to a far-flung planet. All are set for a bright adventure until someone is found hanging dead just weeks before the launch. It looks increasingly like a case of murder. The authorities want the case settled quickly and quietly so as not to cause panic and to prevent a murderer from threatening the entire mission. Okay, it sounds like kind of what Mur Lafferty did in Six Wakes with clones, except this one doesn't have clones. It just has a murder to solve. And of course, the implications of this murder being that the entire humanity-saving mission could be threatened. But anyway, yeah, I'm still looking forward to it because I love a good space story, and hopefully this is one. But comes out, like I said, September the 12th. And last, but by no means least, we have a tiny, thin little envelope. What will it be? And it is, and this one looks really, really cool. I've been hearing a little bit of buzz here and there about this, but finally actually have it in hand. This is an anthology, a thin little anthology, about 200 pages or so, called Iraq Plus 100. The editor is Hassan Blassim, and this is the first English-translated anthology of science fiction from Iraq. Yes, they write science fiction over there. It's really cool. When I went to Worldcon, because it was an international Worldcon, there were quite a few panels on science fiction and translation, and I went to several of these, like Nordic science fiction and Chinese science fiction. It really made me more and more interested in trying to expand my reading as much as possible into international science fiction. But the problem is, there's not always a whole lot of it that gets into translation. So to have something like this, I think, is really kind of special. But this comes out on the 12th of September from Tor Books. And let's see, drawing on a strong tradition of storytelling, 10 authors imagine a future Iraq, 100 years removed from the U.S. occupation, that ranged from science fictional to allegorical to magical realistic depictions of a nation shaped by occupation and war, but buoyed by an intrinsic sense of hope. In a calm and serene world, one has the luxury of imagining what the future might look like. Now try to imagine that future when your way of life has been devastated by forces beyond your control. Iraq Plus 100 poses a question to Iraqi writers, those who still live in that nation, and those who have joined the worldwide diaspora. What might your home country look like in the year 2103, a century after a disastrous foreign invasion? Using science fiction, allegory, and magical realism to challenge the perception of what it means to be the other, this groundbreaking anthology contains stories that are heartbreakingly surreal and yet utterly recognizable to the human experience. Though born out of exhaustion, fear, and despair, these stories are also fueled by themes of love, family, and endurance, and woven through with a delicate thread of hope for the future. What emerges in Iraq Plus 100 is a new definition for the Iraqi fantastical. One beyond 1001 Nights, one that creates an Iraq with denizens ranging from time-traveling angels, technophobic dictators, and talking statues, to macabre museum worlds and even hovering tiger droids. I like that sound. Cool. All right, then. Well, like I said, this comes out September the 12th. So a window, in really a true window into another world with this one. But Iraq Plus 100 from Tor Books. And that is all I have for this episode of the Mailbag, everyone. Like I said at the beginning, you know the drill. Let me know which of these looks most interesting and exciting to you, which you would like to see me prioritize for review. Otherwise, if you enjoyed watching, please hit the like button, share the video far and wide with all of your SFF reading friends, and above all, please subscribe. That is how SFF180 grows. You can also support the channel at my TeePublic store and at my Patreon, where recruits into Wink's army for $2 a month get to see the mailbags a day early. Little perks like that. So I want to thank them for their generous support. I want to thank you for being just lovely, loyal viewers. And until I see all of you next time, happy reading.